Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 261.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today. Here's why. You have excuses, and I know you do, but we're going to remove them today because some of you have said the following words. You said, well, I don't have the money to get started. Or you said, I'm not old enough. You said that. You said, am I too young to actually get involved in real estate? You said, I don't know what I'm doing. It's just me. I'm by myself. And here's the thing. Today's guest is going to absolutely obliterate all of those excuses. And I'm excited because he's doing it in a unique way that I think all of us are going to be able to benefit from. Because one of the things I think is a problem with real estate and the real estate investing industry in general is that we still use paper, i.e. we haven't caught up to new technology in any way, shape, or form. And these guys are out there making it happen and proving a brand new way to go out there and deliver the actual same product and service that we all know and love. I have with me today none other than Charles, also known as Chuck Hattemer, a part of OneRent.co. OneRent.co. Now, here's the thing. Him and his partners, they age from 22 to 24. So, oops, you aren't too young. More importantly, they have raised capital not once, but twice. So 2 rounds of funding, over millions of dollars. And here's the point. You can get it done if you are willing to do what it takes. It doesn't take a college degree, and these guys are proof. So let's talk to Chuck. Chuck, you there?
Yes, thank you so much, Jay. Great intro.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well today. I'm in sunny San Jose, California, right near San Francisco.
Oh, so you decided to start where real estate is cheap. Yeah.
This is the place to be.
Well, definitely. Totally understood. Now, what I want to do is I want to ask you, again, I ask everybody generally the same question, especially when we get first started. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, you got Spider-Man, you got Wonder Woman, Black Widow, you got Black Panther coming out here not too soon. And before they were all, superheroes, they were just regular people. And I think entrepreneurs are very, very similar. I mean, occasionally we get dressed up, we put on masks, we fly around town trying to save people with our products and services. But before all of that, we were just regular people. So here's my question. Before you caught up with your partners, before you were raising capital, before you had a business that was out there making things happen, who is Chuck Hattemer?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's, basically I was a student at Santa Clara University as well as my 3 co-founders for OneRent. And we were, just your average students going to classes, maybe some.
Whoa. No way. You can't be average students who've managed to figure out how to actually earn an income already. That's not average.
Well, what we were doing, we were all involved and really passionate about different parts of life. And I was really involved in a web design business with my older brothers, and that's where I really learned some of the entrepreneurial vibes was from my brothers, because they had started this web design business when they were in high school and college. And that really got me into the mindset of how to hustle, how to really build up a name for yourself in a small community and grow from that. And although it was always a small business type of thing, it really gave me an idea for, what the mentality is that you need to have when you're building a company, when you're delivering a service. And I was also really into filmmaking. Funny enough, I was really passionate about directing and editing films and short movies, and I attended some film programs for some time. But really, where it came all together was at Santa Clara. Again, myself and my three co-founders, we were all students there, and we were just going through this absolutely terrible experience of trying to rent a house together. And that's where really, we put our heads together and said, look, this is something that all our friends are constantly talking about. They're always complaining about how they're being treated by the landlords and the managers out there with all these rental properties. And that's really where OneRent kind of originated, was from that thought and that desire to really fix our own problems. As many entrepreneurs come to that conclusion, that's where the ideas are born from.
So you're telling me that it was tough for 4 college guys to actually find someone willing to entrust to them their hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property, because they were concerned that you guys would take care of it? What am I missing?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. And and around Santa Clara and the Bay Area especially, you could jam 3 people in one bedroom sometimes, and it's a party, but it's an expensive party.
Yes, you just made somebody cringe. 3 people in one bedroom. All right, so this is exactly what. But I get it. I get it. You did something I find to be very unique. You took a complaint and you turned it into a solution. So I like that. I think that's a skill set that you developed long ago. This can't be the first time you or your friends have heard a complaint and tried to solve it. What other, I'm just going to stab here. What else have you guys tried before this?
Yeah. Well, before this, as I mentioned, really my only other experience before this was in this really fragmented industry of web design. And I'm sure you probably know, and others out there know, there's 1 million different services and providers that you can go with. And there was a lot of complaints early on in the history of website design. But that really turned into just sort of a commodity eventually. So I would say what we did together before this was we actually had a completely different original product for OneRent. Right now, what we offer is a full service property management. But before that, we were really focused on students like ourselves. And those were the ones that were complaining, and we heard them the loudest. They were in our ears and complaining about these landlords and these what do you call the slumlord property managers. That's a term that's thrown around, kind of nasty term. And we created a listing site and centralized all of the inventory around the campus onto one platform, and allowed people to apply on there, and they could sign their leases online and do all that fancy stuff. But it really wasn't a full service. And that was our first sort of stab at fixing a complaint that was barking in our ear. And before that, we had all been doing our own little things. One of my co-founders, Rico, he had been involved in a couple different startups, and actually created one of the first sort of live video streaming platforms before it got really popular. As well as, he created some phone apps that allowed people to relive memories from the past with photos, and all these little things that people talk about that they wish they had. Oh, I wish I could do this on my phone. I wish I could do this on my laptop, or, these are the kind of things that pop into our minds, and you just got to listen to them and think, okay, what's the good part, and what part are they really digging at, and what part are they wrong about? And that's how you build your first sort of your product or service.
So what I hear you saying is you spent 3 years sitting around thinking about a business plan and coming up with a 200-page document that you thought might work first. Is that accurate?
That's completely inaccurate. To this day, we have no business plan written out.
Oh, hold on. Everybody stop what you're doing. If you're washing the dishes, stop. If you're chasing the kids, just let them run into the street. Do me a favor. Repeat that one more time.
So to this day, we do not have a written business plan because in a startup, what you learn is you just got to do. You just got to do it and get out there, talk to people, tell as many people about it, about your idea as possible, because everyone's always afraid, someone's going to steal my idea, but that's very unlikely to happen. The best thing you're going to get out of it is a whole boatload of feedback, really useful criticism and critiques from your friends and family.
Well, I hope you are writing that one down, ladies and gentlemen, because I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, there's something interesting about you guys. It seems like there is an eclectic group of different experience that is coming together. I'm not hearing a whole lot of overlap. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. So there's not original overlap. I mean, we were all involved in this business fraternity on campus. It is called Alpha Kappa Psi, and we had met each other initially through that. And my co-founder Greg, he was involved in real estate, really passionate about real estate development and architecture. And that's where the initial sort of real estate bug got in the mix. And then Rico had the tech and startup experience. And then Armand, who is our CTO here at OneRent, he had some really rich, deep technical experience, created a couple number one iPhone games that were in the top of the App Store for a short while. And that sort of mix of, and then my experience was in marketing and sales, and again, hitting the phones, trying to sell web design, which is a crazy business. And all of those skills came together, and the product was, just the creation of this environment where, there's less planning and more doing. And that was really important to us when we were set up in that garage initially for the first year or so. We all four went summer internships and instead jammed ourselves into this tiny garage. We slept on top of pool tables and underneath beds and mattresses and all this crazy stuff to be able to really just get going and hit the ground running and again iterate as much as possible on our idea.
Oh, so what you're saying then is that your first version was 100% perfect and you guys were able to do this in a weekend.
Not at all. It took an insane amount of iteration and just bouncing ideas off people, having people use our product and have all these problems with it and yell at us about it. And that's how we improved on it.
Are you telling me that you failed at the beginning? Is that really what you're saying? I mean, this is awesome. Because, let me tell you why I'm saying this. Because most people avoid failure like the plague. Most people avoid the sacrifice that you are talking about. So I have a question for you. Without the failure, without the iteration, without the sacrifice, the sleeping on the pool tables, would OneRent be here today?
Not at all. Not at all.
So what do you think about the idea that someone has or might be holding in their mind right now that, you know what, I'm just going to set this up over the weekend and be ready to go?
Hey, I mean, I think that's, you got to think about your idea in a series of steps and think about maybe there is one thing that you can do, one tiny little part of your idea that you can set up in a weekend. And I would say go for it. Maybe it's throwing up a web page that just says it's a one pager. It says what you're trying to put out there, the value proposition for the customer. And you just start sending that to friends and family, say, hey, what do you think about this? And you spend a weekend doing that. You get all the feedback. You spend the next weekend changing it and adding another page or adding another little feature. And so I think people get overwhelmed by their idea and they say, oh my God, I gotta do this. I gotta go out there and, set up all these marketing channels. I gotta get, pay for all this advertising and reach out to all these customers and call them all day long. And it's overwhelming. So you say, oh, I'll do it next week. But that's the thing. And that's what's so dangerous. And I think, every single time that one of us thought that, we had each other to say, hey, change your ways. You got to just do something about it and get it done now. Send that cold email, give that person a call, and find other people in this industry that can help you, see through your idea and critique it and change it. That's sort of the first step, I would say.
So let me ask this then. because you bring up a great concept or at least an idea that people do get overwhelmed. I know. Yeah. Lord knows I overwhelm my team almost weekly. Here's a new one. They're like, oh God, here he comes, but how do you deal with that? How would you recommend someone deal with that? Maybe they don't have 3 other individuals hanging around them right now. How can they deal with the fact that they may have an idea that has the ability to attract millions of dollars like you guys have done, but it's just them?
I would say the first thing you got to do is find a partner, find someone that you can rely on, that you can, that you vibe with, that you if you guys are up at 3 a.m. that you're not going to be, biting at each other's ankles, but instead throwing ideas back and forth. That's really key. Cause at the end of the day, nothing big in the world, nothing game changing in this world has ever been created by one single person. It's a team effort. And if you don't know where to find that person, that partner, then just go on to LinkedIn, something like that. Start searching up people in the industry that you're looking to disrupt or change, and just start talking to those people, start collecting information, sit inside their offices even, and just, you'll add so much more depth to your idea or to your concept if you actually live the life of the customer that you're trying to serve, and you live the life of the person who's currently trying to serve your customer, because you'll start to see all the problems and the issues there. But yeah, I would say, first thing first, find someone, use your network, go to events and find someone that's going to help you out.
Now, I hope everybody picked up on that. Entrepreneurs work at 3 a.m. So 9 to 5 is great, but 3 a.m. is where the magic happens. Now, with all that being said, I think you bring up something that I think is unique. You've taken the time to solve your own problem first. And I've always thought that if you can fix it for one, then after that, it's a matter of scale. How many people do you want to fix it for? But in order to do that, you have to develop a certain amount of confidence. This is what I like to call that superhero moment. It's where you finally realize, like, hey, we might be onto something here. We can offer it to more people. So talk to me about that transition from solving your own problem to going, you know what? There might be hundreds of thousands of other people we could help.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. Many of you have figured this out from time to time. And if you haven't, if you're new to trying to become an entrepreneur, let me help you with something. One of the easiest ways to find the business that you're supposed to be in is to solve a problem, right? But you're like, what problem, Jay? Well, other than looking in your newspaper, which is a list of problems freely available, you could also just solve one of your own problems and then ask yourself, I solved this problem for me. Is there anyone else who might have this same problem? And if so, how on earth can I let them know that I can solve it? And then you're off and running. You just never know. That's really what entrepreneurship business becomes all about, is solving problems for other people. And get this, you know what a problem is, and you've solved some of your own before. So let's do this together. I'm going to help you solve one of the biggest problems that happens with real estate investors. What is that problem in this particular case? It's simply generating enough leads in terms of buyers, sellers, and investors for individuals like you to talk to. So what does that mean? We've put together a course that you'll be able to use if you want to go out there and generate leads. Now, what I did is I put together my best ideas and thought processes on generating leads using no money, no credit, or very, very little dollars. And it's specifically tailored for introverts. However, extroverts can use it too, so that you can go out there and generate leads everywhere you go. How do you find it? Just go to cashflowdiary.com/lead machine. Cashflowdiary.com/lead machine. Go grab it. I think you'll like it. Hey, let's go figure out the rest of the problems that they've solved. And I want you to hear their story of that transition too. Here we go.
That's, it's kind of a paradox, because you are stuck in this spot where you want to scale, but you don't exactly have the resources or, the time to do it, and you just want it to happen. And it's funny
like yesterday.
Exactly. And it's funny because there's a great quote from Paul Graham, who is, he's the founder, the original partner at Y Combinator, which is one of the most renowned incubator firms in the industry. And he says, do things that don't scale. And that is something that is very uncomfortable for a lot of entrepreneurs and startup founders, is that, oh, well, I'm trying to grow my business to serve hundreds of thousands, but what do you have to do that is do things that don't scale. What that means is go out and meet every one of your customers, talk to them, sit down with them, have lunch with them, grab coffee with them. And obviously that's going to take an enormous amount of time that you can't do when you have 100,000 customers. But if you do that for the first 100 customers, those people are going to be so pleased with your service, so happy with you as an individual, that they're going to tell their friends. And that's the most powerful method of scale, is word of mouth and, friends spreading the word. And I think that's one of the most valuable things to do initially to get that scale.
You do know, Chuck, you just told me I have to talk to real people. I can't just send them a tweet. That's not cool, man. That's not cool.
Exactly. Exactly. It takes more than a tweet. It takes more than 140 characters.
It does. It does indeed. Now, while we're on this topic of technology, you guys use technology in a unique way, we'll say. And I like how you're bringing more technology to the real estate space. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing and how you're incorporating technology into what you're doing.
Sure. So with OneRent, what we're really trying to do is create more consistency and transparency in the process of renting property and managing those investments for property owners and real estate investors. And if you look at the current industry of property management, there's over 200,000 different firms that offer property management services. And I recently saw another graph that said only 46% of property management firms even use email, let alone anything else. And so there's a huge gap in technology usage in the industry. And what we've seen is, but just by, again, going back to just sitting in the offices of property managers all around the Bay Area, which is where we started, we just started to notice this real lack of technology. And it's not to say that these people aren't smart or good at what they do. They're excellent at what they do. They've been in the real estate industry for years, but there just isn't a huge incentive to add technology into the process. So what we've done is we've built our technology in-house to really streamline things like showings, like lease signings, like rent payments, all the basics of the rental process we've taken online, while still keeping the most important parts in the hands of humans, and to add that level of personality, personal touch through human interaction, but really enabling people to act with technology. So, for example, giving landlords and real estate investors access to 24/7 insights into how their properties are performing on their dashboard, and what we're doing to make sure that we're getting someone moved in there, someone who's qualified, who's going to pay rent on time, and making sure that we are getting your rent paid to you on the first of every month. And that, that level of transparency that we give to the owner holds us accountable to do a great job and provide an excellent service.
Interesting. I want to know how you can do showings online. So, I'm not going to be the only one asking that question, so you you might as well just tell us now.
Yeah, that's a good point. So basically, what I mean by implementing technology into the showing process is allow people, renters, to have as much convenience as possible when trying to schedule a showing. The problem with the existing model is that you can go onto Craigslist, Zillow, all these different listing sites, and you're going to spend hours trying to call these landlords and set up a time to see the property, and it can be really time intensive, and it's kind of a hassle. So
a little bit.
Yeah. And on OneRent, what you can do is you can just go on there, you can select any property, and you can schedule a time any day, 7 days a week, between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to schedule a showing. And as soon as you click that button, I want to see the property on Wednesday at 6 p.m., we have automatically dispatched or notified someone, one of our mobile managers, we call them, which is our team that's on the ground, showing properties and dealing with, anything that comes up. And one of those agents is going to be dispatched to that property at Wednesday at 6 p.m. And all of that process of notifying them and dispatching them is automated. So the technology really comes into play there, and they have an app that they can use to see where the property is, to see the notes about the property, and to open the door and show the person, around, and be able to allow that prospect to see the property and make a decision about renting it.
Nice. I like it. And that's exactly what the real estate industry needs is, more innovation, more technology usage, because like I've said it before, we still use paper. I mean, many people still use the yellow letter syndrome in terms of their marketing channels. And I'm not saying that's, it's time for it to go away, although I kind of am, because there's just other cheaper, more effective ways to get certain things done. And I like what you guys are doing. So what else what else is unique about the ways that you are innovating over there at OneRent to be able to make my life easier?
Well, it really comes down again to we like to say we build technology where it makes sense and keep people where they're needed, and that's really what sort of frames the innovation that we're doing. And we think of each property that we manage as a platform. So we're trying to see, hey, what can we do to really make this experience for the tenant really top notch, because they're paying top dollar for these rentals, especially in San Francisco area, and they expect a certain level of service. So we're looking really deeply into what kind of additional services that tenants need that they would be interested in. For example, imagine being able to walk into your new apartment and everything is set up for you. Your cable is done, your utilities are in your name, and your fridge is stocked, and you've got a nice little batch of toilet paper because that's the first thing you need. Those are the kind of things that we're really trying to do, and that's obviously all those things are very much offline. But the way that we can offer that and offer it on scale is through technology and having technology automate these things to be able to allow, hey, a new tenant has signed their lease. Let's be able to send them a welcome package and be able to automate that whole process is really important to us. And then on the flip side, for the real estate investor, really looking into building this sort of recommendation engine and this as we manage more and more properties, we learn more about how to deal with properties, how to deal with maintenance issues and situations that come up. And so when you're an investor, let's say, you want to be able to, find out exactly what is the maintenance issue that's being solved and how much it's costing and which property it's related to. You're able to dive deep into that information on our system now. And in the future, we can even have the ability to give you active recommendations, proactive recommendations even, and say, hey, look, we know from our history that El Nino is coming into California this year, and we recommend that you add a new, redo this part of the roof because it hasn't been done for 20 years. But right now, again, it's really focused on giving some of these simple recommendations. For example, so many people don't allow pets in their property, but we make that recommendation to do that through the technology and through the system that we offer to the owner.
You make the recommendation to allow pets?
If we just let them know, hey, this incorporates about 30% of the market. So if you want to access 30% more of the renter market, you should allow pets. Of course, at the end of the day, you can make that decision on your own as the owner of the property, but these are just some of the kind of things that we are able to build into the system as we learn more and as we manage more.
No, I'm totally down for it. I've always maintained that there's always room, especially you want to take certain classes or certain demographics like pets, for example. I've always maintained that if someone chose to specifically specialize in we cater to our buildings and our apartments or our houses to pets, they could not only would they have an exclusive audience, but they could likely get significantly more rent for making that special accommodation. And you're making that actually a reality and possibly even easier because I'm assuming then from the renter side, I could choose allows pets, and it just brings up a list of the properties that would.
Exactly. And the whole idea is too that the landlord, traditional property managers, they'll take your property and then they'll tell you 3 months later, oh, by the way, we moved in a tenant 2 months ago and they're paying $200 less than what we initially talked about. But hey, it's all done and set for you. And while that may be good for the extremely hands-off type of owner or investor, it's not necessarily what the majority of the market wants and needs. They want that feeling of control over their investment. They want that transparency into what's going on. So you as an owner have full ability to control your listing through our platform, while we're taking care of all the operational work of showings and leasing and tenant negotiation. And you get to see the results of that sort of operational work. So it allows you to be hands off in the sense that you don't have to be driving out to your property. You can just be sitting back in your house in Hawaii or wherever you want and be able to log in and make sure we're doing our job.
I like it. I like it a ton. I like it a ton. So when you look at we'll say the real estate industry as a whole and its use of technology, what are some of the other areas that you guys have identified that are like, you know what, we could probably do better here?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think startups are all about focus at the end of the day, and you probably know yourself when you initially got started, you probably had one thing that you really wanted to drill down in, and that's kind of something unique about our model is that property management in itself is like 10 different startups. So for now, we're really focused on getting property management right, and we don't want to, the traditional model is oftentimes, hey, I do property management, but I also do sales and buying. And that's great. And that's a great model. And some people like to have that. But for our sakes, we thought, hey, we're going to focus just on property management. We're not going to let the allure of sales and making a big cash pile up front. We're not going to let that drive our focus away from property management. But what we see in real estate technology is really 3 phases of development. There's first phase, which is the age of information. And you look at sites like Zillow and Trulia, all of these sites are geared around unlocking information for consumers to be able to make better purchase decisions on their own without having to go through, brokers or real estate agencies and pay big fees. And that was sort of the initial phase. And then you see the second phase, which there's still a lot of companies in this realm, which is sort of the utility phase where, hey, let's add an additional tool to this listing site where you can apply online, or you look at something like Airbnb. It's utility. It's a platform. It offers a tool to use to rent out a short-term rental. But at the end of the day, you are still the one handling all the back end work, and it's on you to provide the great customer experience as the user. The third and final phase, which is where we see OneRent and where we see the industry leading towards right now, is these full service models being transformed. You look at a company like Open Door is a great one, and they're based they're specializing in the Arizona market, where they will go out there and purchase a property right there on the spot, and then they offer a full experience of then selling that property for a slightly higher amount and making a margin off that. But it's the full service experience. They send people out there to inspect the property, do a full walkthrough, and those are some of the things that we see happening in this industry, especially looking at crowdfunding, for example, is another example. You see these companies like Fundrise or Realty Mogul, where they offer a full service investment experience to anyone, not just accredited investors. And I think that's really the big transformation that's happening in real estate tech today. And if you look at the investment trends and venture capital in these companies, it's gone up exponentially in the past 10 years alone.
Yeah, it's continually going more and more and more. Now, the more you keep talking, the more I want more of what you're doing to happen faster, because there's just so much opportunity inside the tech space. And you're right. When you're first getting started, focus is key. It's kind of hard though, because there's I mean, I'm sure right now from your vantage point, you see so many things that could be done and you're like, man, I can't do it all.
Exactly.
So at this moment, I'm guessing, I'm just going to take a small guess that there's more than one person listening who would like to find out more about what you guys are doing. So do us a favor. Tell us how we can stalk you online.
Well, thank you. Our website is just onerent.co. We're working on the .com, but it's a uphill battle right now. So it's that .co, and then, just check us out. You can search up OneRent. Our Twitter is OneRentCo, and you can check us out on Facebook as well. And I guess the biggest thing is we would love to hear from people that are real estate investors that are looking for a partner that can manage properties across all geographical locations, because OneRent is really not bound by location as a traditional property manager may be. We can scale to new cities, new markets in a matter of weeks and set up our operations there. For example, in Seattle, we scaled there in 10 days. We had full operations set up. We were managing properties, and since then we've had great growth there as well. And so I guess the biggest thing is for us youngins in this industry who don't have 30 years of experience, we want to hear from those who do, and we want to hear your critiques of our model and the feedback you have for how we can improve it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, at 41, I'm still considered young in this business too. So you got a long, long way to go. But with that being said, I got a question for you as we wind down here. I know there's someone right now listening who listened this entire time going, wow, they're 22, 24, they're doing the thing. And they're probably, driving home from work going, dude, I wish I was them 20 years ago. Or they're like, man, I don't want this life to continue. Or they're thinking, you know what? My idea, it does have merit. I want to make this happen. I want to become that entrepreneurial superhero. They could be even standing in front of the superhero outfit store, ready to pick out their cape and tights. But they are dealing with that voice. And Chuck, I know you know that voice because you've done battle with that voice. It's that voice that's in the back of your head all the time. And yet you've managed to conquer it. In fact, you and your co-founders have conquered it. So what I want to know is, if someone came to you right now and was in that situation going, man, I want to, but I don't know if I can. I want to, but I don't have the money. I want to, but I just, I'm going to make a mistake. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I would say, go ahead and walk in the store and buy your superhero outfit and just put it on and just do it. And I think at the end of the day, it comes back to think about what is the real core value of your idea or your solution that you're bringing into the world. And what is one small little step you can take to show someone that value? If you're, for example, I hear my friends all the time talking about, oh, I have this great app idea. Well, sit down and draw pictures of what that app would look like, each page of it, on a piece of paper, and then go around and just stop people on the street or people that you're friends with and sit them down and say, hey, what do you think of this? Where would you click here? What do you see any value out of this? And that's where you got to start. You got to start with one small little core piece of value and then just testing it and talk to as many people as possible about your idea, because without other people commenting on it, you're just going to run yourself in circles and that voice is going to just take over.
You got that right. Now, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Hopefully we've done you a good service, and maybe there'll be a number of people reaching out. But nonetheless, I thank you for taking action and being about the business and not letting anything stand in your way.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means you've got a property you want managed. You like the ideas. You like the concepts. That means onerent.co is probably the place you should go right now. So get on over there. Make it happen. It's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.